Life on our planet is very diverse. We have creatures that are single-celled, like the amoeba. We have creatures that are not necessarily microscopic, but they're like just that big, teeny little things, like a gnat or some small ants. And then we have a whole bunch of other kinds of creatures. Now, if you talk of the scale of intelligence, at least to the best of our knowledge, we human beings are at the top of the intelligence ladder, at least on planet Earth. But I've often wondered, when I look up at the stars at night, I'm sure that there has to be life out there because of the huge immensity of our universe. And the universe is really, really, really big. And forget about the universe, just our galaxy. The Milky Way galaxy is huge. According to Dr. Carl Sagan, this galaxy has 400 billion stars. So that's huge by any measure. And we have already discovered several 100 billion galaxies. So a couple of years ago, there was an Australian physicist who estimated that there are approximately 70 sextillion stars. Sextillion. I think that's a 7 followed by 22 or maybe 24 zeros. I mean, it's a huge number. Okay. Anyhow, coming back to what we were talking about. When we look at an amoeba under a microscope, the amoeba doesn't have any clue that it's being watched. But it is. Because the amoeba's level of intelligence compared to ours is so much farther down the ladder of evolution that the amoeba is blissfully unaware that somebody is watching it under a microscope. Now, for the amoeba, which happens to live on our world, planet Earth, its world, though it's part of planet Earth, its world is probably just that little drop of water. So, while it's part of the planet Earth, it's really not aware of any world bigger than that drop of water. Now, similarly, I know it could be a little too much to swallow, but what if we human beings are part of a much larger world? And maybe we consider our world just that ball of rock and dust that's floating in space that we call the planet Earth. What if there's a form of life that's so much ahead of us in the evolutionary ladder that they could actually be watching us, just like we're watching the amoeba, and we may have no idea, and we won't have any idea, because we have no way of recognizing them or of observing them. Now, when you think about it, look at life on planet Earth for a second. We human beings, with all of our technology that we are proud of, have no way of communicating with any other species on our planet. Okay, maybe there are people who are able to talk to their dog, or maybe their parrots, or maybe people are able to talk to dolphins or whales, but it's a very limited thing. Like, we cannot communicate with an ant, or a bee for that matter, whereas both ants and bees uh, are pretty impressive in their own right, in the way that they construct their beehives and their anthills in a very precise manner, and how they are able to act in teams with each other. But yet, an ant and a human being can't communicate with each other. So, while I do believe very strongly that there is life beyond planet Earth, I don't know if we're actually ever going to be able to communicate with it until and unless we find a civilization that is more or less kind of in the same rung of the evolutionary ladder as we are. Otherwise, it'll be very difficult. If there's life that is below us, even if we actually do find them or observe them, we may never be able to communicate with them because the level of intelligence is just too far apart. And I'm sure that it could even happen the other way around. If there's a civilization that's up here, maybe they are able to observe us, but we're not able to observe them for whatever reasons. And that raises a very interesting question, because I have thought about this, that perhaps there's a correlation between intelligent forms of life and what we call as the spiritual realm of existence. What if spiritual beings are actually a form of energy, a life form of energy that is much, much more advanced than us? And maybe that's why we are not able to see them or observe them, but they are able to observe us. And maybe we ourselves, our souls, are actually a higher life form that is having an experience in a denser plane of existence. As one of my favorite quotes is by Teilhard de Chardin, that we are not human beings having a spiritual experience, rather we're spiritual beings that are having a human experience. And that does make a lot of sense. And maybe it's always a higher form of life that can observe a lower form, and not the other way around. Perhaps our whole awareness that we have here on Earth is not something that everyone else or every other civilization would be aware of. Maybe we're having this experience right now at a particular plane of density, or a particular frequency that only we, and perhaps maybe some other civilizations that are equivalent to us, can experience. But maybe other civilizations are having a experience at this very moment, but in a higher plane of existence, a higher realm of existence, what some people refer to as the spiritual plane. Some people call it the fifth dimension, or the sixth dimension, or the fourth dimension. Maybe it's a higher form of energy where that life is taking place. And maybe it's when our species evolves to a certain level that we will actually be able to take part in galactic activities, in galactic life. Well, those were my thoughts. And I would be very happy to hear from you about what you think. Thank you.